At Total Pharmacy Care, we fill your prescriptions and answer any questions about your medications. No distractions and no long lines. Tell your doctor to send your prescriptions to Total Pharmacy Care.
That's a pretty good one. We're back, episode 19 here. Shout out to Johnny Unitas. Who are you giving out to?
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen. And speaking of Adams, we got a special guest, Adam Mahan. Who's your shout out?
Tony Gwynn Sr.
Tony Gwynn Sr. Well, arguably the best hitter in the modern era, maybe? Arguably. I can say that. Arguably. All right, we're missing Wes Hutchinson. Shout out to Wes. He's busy, conflicting schedules, but we'll try to do the best we can here. First off, we'll give a shout out to our sponsors. It's flu season, and the professional pharmacists at Nova Pharmacy and Caramore Pharmacy want you to get vaccinated. Call Joel or Sandy Thornberry today and get vaccinated and stay healthy. Call Nova Pharmacy at 606-432-2274 and call Caramore Pharmacy at 639-2273.
And if you are looking for quality care for your loved ones, look no further than Presbyterian Homes of Cedar Creek or Good Shepherd at Phelps. Both facilities treat your loved ones with quality care and respect. They offer therapy, daily activities, exquisite cuisine, and home-like settings to make your family members feel at home. Call to schedule an appointment today at Cedar Creek. Call Jessica Thacker, Trevor's wife. We say it every week. At 432-8243, and at Good Shepherd, call 456-8725. Caring for your loved ones is what we do best.
We're also brought to you by Bruce Waters. Bruce Waters has just updated the pricing on all their new inventory. Check them out at brucewaters4.net. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow all the stuff we're doing on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. We're always putting up interviews during basketball season, highlights, all that good stuff. So everybody give us a like and a follow if you want. I mean, we're going to get right into it. College football national championship coming up next Monday. LSU Clemson. This is what everybody's looking forward to. Josh, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. Mahan, we've not really talked to on camera, but we've talked to you before. Who you like and why?
Clemson.
Clemson, why? Is it just because they're the defending champions?
Defending champs. They've been there twice. This, third year in a row?
Third year in a row.
Third year in a row.
Probably got LSU. Arguably the best quarterback to him and Joe Burrow, I would imagine.
Joe Burrow.
He's been there before. Josh, who you liking this one and why?
Well, man, I think it almost feels kind of like destiny for LSU to kind of be there. Like the national championship is going to be in Louisiana.
They got a lot of things going right for them.
They have a lot of things going for them here. But I think I'm going to ride with Clemson, and I think it's just truly because I believe that they are the best whole team in college.
And I agree with you all too. I mean, I've been saying this for a while now. I think Clemson is if I had to pick one team, they've got the experience, they've got the big game experience, they've played in these national championships, they got the coaching experience, and I think, a lot of this stuff's going to come down to coaching. And if that's the case, if it's decided, 6 points, 3 points here and there, I think Dabo Swinney's good enough to game plan till he get those guys those extra points. I know Wes, who, is not here this week, he's been LSU. I mean, since the end of last season. So yeah. I wish he was here to kind of give his arguments, but I know he likes Burrow. He likes those receivers.
Well, I mean, that would be a good LSU side, a good LSU take.
And I don't think anybody here would be shocked if LSU won. I mean, what Joe Burrow's done, I think he's kind of been penciled in as a number one pick. And as a Bengals fan, you
got to love to see that.
I hope he keeps it up. I mean, I want to see him keep throwing those 7 touchdowns in a half, 400 yards in a half. I mean, to me, I think this is going to be a dynamite game. And I don't see, how this bowl championship is going to be, a letdown.
I don't think in any shape, way, or form this is going to be a blowout on either side. I think, it's going to be a one-score game at the end of the game, regardless of who comes out on top.
Yeah.
So I think for me, Dabo Swinney's probably one of the best schemers in college football, if not the best.
A great motivator as well.
Ogeron is also up there on the motivator list.
It's probably 2 of the best motivators
in college football.
In college football, or maybe even in sports in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, Ogeron, he can just get guys fired up. His voice, he's a big guy. He's from LSU. It means something to him. I mean, to me, I think this is a perfect national championship game. That you don't see this every year. Some teams get hot, but I think these are the best 2 complete teams in the nation. And I like that point a lot. And they both got the nickname Death Valley where they play. So a lot of
Which
similarities.
Is really funny.
Just a lot of similarities. Yeah. So I mean, to me, I think we'll all be sitting back and more than anything, I just want to see a good game. I think Clemson will win. I really don't have a dog in this fight, but I think it's going to be a good one.
I'm super excited for it, man, just because I would like to see Trevor Lawrence add to his legacy as a college quarterback and win, that other title. Because, I mean, when he goes into the draft, I think, is it next year?
If Trevor Lawrence was going into this draft, he'd probably be the number one pick over Joe Burrow. But that would be a hard argument this year because of the year Joe Burrow's had, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Burrow has played lights out. I mean,
and I kind of agree with you on that, but I also think that maybe Joe Burrow, after this season, the season that he's had, is maybe the undisputed number one pick.
Yeah.
And God forbid, I hope the Bengals don't mess this up and end up trying to take like Chase Young and maybe try to trade back into the draft.
Or you can maybe get
trade
back.
Now if you look at it like that, then maybe the Bengals could draft Chase Young and trade back into like the middle of the first round.
A lot of options there for the Bengals, and we'll have that number one pick in the second round as well. There'll be a lot of players there in that second round on the board.
And something else, man, they've got a lot of moving parts to where they could trade dudes on draft day, and it be feasible trades to get them those kind of assets.
I think as a Bengals fan, I hope we have some kind of plan in place. We have to know what we're looking for and go out and get those guys and execute a plan to get better because, you've seen like San Francisco, what a good draft can do for you. I mean, it's
and even thing. Baltimore this year, they had a good draft last year and the year before that, and it's set them up for the run they've went on this year.
Yeah,
I think when you're an NFL team and you're going into the draft like that, you have to have Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D. Like, you have to have all these different scenarios in your head. Like, if something happens, if we end up taking this guy, how can we come back and get another dude that we want?
And I think that's where the good GMs stand out, and you can see the good teams have that. But speaking of NFL, that's a good transition. We'll just transition. First round of playoffs last week. Anybody shocked by anything that happened this week? I mean, the Patriots, I was kind of shocked. I thought they would find a way to win that one.
I would, especially being in Foxborough, but their offense has struggled all year.
And you got to give Mike Vrabel some credit. I mean, he came up with a good game plan there, ran the ball. Derrick Henry got some big penalties that were actually worked out in his favor in that fourth quarter to run some time off. I mean, the yardage he lost was not what he was looking. He didn't care about that. It
was about running the clock.
He said he learned that from Belichick.
Exactly, he learned that from Belichick. So I mean, that just goes to show you the impact Belichick's had on the game. Not just in New England, but all across the league. I mean, you got one of his former players, out coaching him. One could say, I thought he did a better job coaching that game.
The student became the master.
And who knows if that would, if they played 10 times, who knows if that would happen.
Well,
but that one night in the playoffs, it worked.
I mean, it's not Tom Brady's fault that he didn't have the receivers he needed to be able to produce the way that he normally would.
Everybody. The thing is, you hear everybody saying now, Tom, is he done? Is he done?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. I think he could probably play another 2 to 3 years. I just think they got to give him the help. I was surprised that they didn't go back out and. I'd heard the
maybe try to get Antonio Brown again.
Maybe they should have kept him the whole time. I mean, they needed something because Julian Edelman was not healthy.
And if you remember, they also traded off Demaryius Thomas.
And I don't think N'Keal Harry turned out to be the player they thought he was going to be. I don't think he had the explosiveness.
Yeah, and I just don't think he had, I think he was he was thrown to the wolves pretty much this year, trying to go against these NFL corners that are more accustomed to covering like a Julio Jones or
just watching him and stuff, and seeing him in person. He's a big receiver, but he doesn't have the speed. To me, he probably would have been a better suited to maybe play a tight end for that team. Maybe that would have been something for them. I don't know. I mean, I know they probably know their personnel a little better, but just looking on the outside, to me, I thought he was more of a tight end in the NFL.
I just think they were really one true number one receiver away from being able to get into the second round of the playoffs because he can make Ben Watson work.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady can make.
Well,
that
the thing about Ben Watson is though he's got so many years. I mean, he's not going to beat anybody by himself anymore.
Well, exactly,
he's not
but
a game
he's
changer.
also a really good run blocker. Like he's
Yeah.
one of those dudes you can throw in there, and he can be one of those extra linemen and open up holes for Sony Michel or Rex Burkhead or whoever you decide to let run the ball that day.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, now moving on, speaking about Tennessee, they've got Josh's team, Baltimore, next round. Baltimore's a 3-point favorite at home.
That's a tough matchup for us.
I mean, what do you think about this one, Josh? I mean, you've watched Baltimore more than we have, so I mean, you can probably give us a breakdown on that one a little bit better.
I'll tell you what, man. I think that Tennessee has a really good shot to come away with a win in this one simply because our linebackers might be the weakest point of our defense. And if Derrick Henry gets blocks enough to where he can get into the second level, or really it's not even the full second level, he just has to get past that initial line of scrimmage, and then he can make a big play. And we're already having problems with Onawasor, who's one of our middle linebackers.
Well, to me, it seems like Tennessee's probably wanting to go and control the clock.
They don't want Lamar to have this ball.
They're wanting to slow, but I mean, can they slow Lamar down enough? I mean, Lamar's been able to run the ball. I don't know. I mean, it's the playoffs is a different season. I think Lamar is probably first round. I mean, at home, he's had such a good season. I don't see Tennessee stopping him this year.
He's had a week of rest.
I think Baltimore wins this one. I think they probably cover that 3 points pretty easy in my book. In my hand, who you like in this one?
Titans.
Oh, we got Titans.
Of course,
an
he does.
upset.
I'm going
here.
with
Of
the
course, he
upset.
does.
Well, I mean, you know, they've got
I'm going with the upset.
They've got all the momentum right now. I mean, nobody saw them in preseason. Nobody saw them making the second round of the playoffs.
The thing,
Mariota.
Oh yeah, Mariota. I mean, you change quarterbacks.
the thing is how is Ryan Tannehill going to play?
I mean,
If
so
he comes
far,
out
he's-
and he plays how he's been playing, then we may be in a little bit of trouble.
and Tennessee's defense has been really good too. I mean, they've
But-
played well.
Quarterbacks this year have not played very well against our secondary.
That's true.
Our secondary has been
a lot of speed.
maybe
back there.
hands down the best
a
secondary
lot of
in
speed
football
back
this
there.
year.
A lot of speed.
And I mean,
How many
I don't
ta-
care if they have A.J. Brown. I don't care who they throw out there at receiver. Marcus Peters is, in a good way, he is a thug out there on the field. In a good way, he is like,
You just killed me with that one in a good way. I like the preference.
Yeah.
But, I mean, besides Marcus Peters, they still got guys like Marlon Humphrey and a couple other guys who can make plays too. Maybe gets overlooked sometimes.
well, I mean, Ed Reed probably covers the most ground out of any safety whenever the ball's in the air in the NFL. Like, he's the best at finding the ball in the air and making a play on it, whether it's knocking it down, hitting the receiver as he touches the ball, or getting an interception and trying to make a big play out of it. He's the closest thing to Ed Reed we've had since Ed Reed.
Yeah, and that's saying there's only a few.
And there's
players.
only one Ed Reed.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard to compare anybody, but I mean, I can say it. And moving on, in the next one we got San Fran and Minnesota. It looks like San Francisco is a 7-point favorite there. Minnesota with a big win over the Saints. What an ending to that game. I mean, it seems like anytime those two play in the playoffs, it's going to be something crazy happens.
It was just a tad bit of offensive pass interference. I will say that.
I mean,
in my opinion.
And I'll be the first one to tell you, I've never liked Kirk Cousins, and in the playoffs, I did not think Kirk Cousins
You like
could get
that?
done. Hey, he got it done. Hey, that's what you got to do. You prove people wrong in the playoffs.
Hey, man, that's why they paid him. That's why they brought him in, was to
Now you got to
have a chance to win those kind of games. Yeah, and I think
but the
Go ahead.
Saints have been one of their
biggest
obstacles.
rivals. Yeah,
And they got over that hump now. San Francisco's young. I mean, this is their first time being here, really. I mean, who knows? I mean, San Francisco 7-point favorite. I think that's a bit high. I like San Francisco to win. I don't know if I like them to cover that 7 points, but I like San Francisco to win this game.
I'm actually going to pick Minnesota in the win this week.
And I love Mike Zimmer defenses, and
Well, you've been high on Mike Zimmer all year. You said he's one of the best coaches in the
he's
NFL
one of the
right
best.
now.
He's one of the best, and that's being a Bengals fan when he was our defensive coordinator a few years back. Who you liking this one?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Niners.
The Niners, and Nick Bosa, Rookie of the Year undoubtedly. I mean, he made this team. Him and Garoppolo, the addition from last year, just put this team
Well,
over the top.
He made that defense legit.
Oh,
Also, when you look
they're
at,
just so fast.
I think somebody that's an unsung hero on this 49ers defense is Fred Warner at middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He's 22 years old. He's a year into the league. I don't think he's a rookie anymore.
No. Well, I mean, even speaking of the Debo Samuel, a rookie wide receiver, has made a big impact. That shows you how rookies can make impacts on teams too. He gave them another dynamic piece. I mean, the defense is dynamic, but now they got playmakers on offense too. So they're a pretty complete team in my book.
I think that might be actually one of the funnest games to watch.
I think so
this
too. I think it's very intriguing.
It's going to be a lot
defensive
of
war.
And man, I wouldn't be shocked if there's a lot of really good offensive plays made just because Garoppolo is that kind of dude. He can get his receivers the ball to make plays like that. And then Cousins, he's probably got maybe the best receiving core in football.
Oh yeah,
Thielen and Diggs.
The catch Thielen made. I mean, that's one of those all-time plays that people will be shown for years and years. And then moving on, we got Kansas City, who they are a 9.5-point favorite to win over Houston this week, and that's the highest one that we got at point spreads, a 9.5 for Kansas City. I think Kansas City rolls through Houston. I'm not been impressed with Houston. What do you think, Mahan?
I think Kansas City's going to win this game just because you never know which Houston team is going to show up.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
And J.J. Watt, he's always a question. How healthy is J.J. Watt? How healthy is J.J. Watt?
Now, I will pose this. You may not know which Houston team is going to show up, but you always know which Deshaun Watson is going to show up.
Yeah.
That dude is a bona fide, maybe future Hall of Famer.
Well, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is as good of a receiver as there is in the NFL.
Right.
Can Houston put up enough points is what I have to say. Can they put up enough points to hang with Kansas City? I don't think so.
Man, I just Pat Mahomes can do whatever he wants with that football.
Yeah, I agree.
And it really doesn't matter. He can run it. He can make every single throw that you can think of. Even the ones that you can't think of, he can probably make.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then anytime you've got speed like Tyreek Hill out there on the outside or McCole Hardman, who has been phenomenal this year for them on special teams and, just
and their secondary is better than what people say. So I just
their defense is better than what people say.
Yeah, I mean, and they've kind of been under the radar this year with the emergence of Baltimore.
In which they also got a big acquisition late in the year. They picked up Terrell Suggs on that defense,
which
I was in the playoffs and done it.
Won a Super Bowl.
He will be a locker room leader for that defense in these playoffs.
And man, I was really looking for Baltimore to try to maybe bring him back for like a farewell tour, but
he wanted to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, and man, we just wasn't willing to go that route, I guess. But I mean, I really truly don't understand why we could have used it.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're just jumping back into football. Last one, Green Bay and Seattle. Green Bay's 4-point favorite. Seattle got the win. They're riding the high, having Marshawn Lynch back. I mean, no missteps there to me. I mean, but to me, the story is Russell Wilson. I mean, that dude is phenomenal. Lights out. Going to be a duel, I think, between him and Aaron Rodgers. I really don't know who to pick. Just sentimental reasons, I'm going to say Russell Wilson makes some kind of crazy play at the end to win it. But, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers does, I wouldn't be shocked either. So, who you like in this one?
I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think they're going to keep riding this high.
Even
though they're going into Lambeau.
Very good defense, I mean, and they find ways on offense. I mean, Josh, what do you think about this one?
RELAX. It's what Aaron Rodgers said in an interview once, right before. I think they had it was an 0-4 start, and then he came out and told the media to relax. That's what everybody needs to do right now because Aaron Rodgers, all he needs is to get to the playoffs.
I thought he was talking about this kind of watch he bought over the weekend, a Relax.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. He bought him a Relax instead of a Rolex, right?
But, I mean, man, I like Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. I think that he's one of the most talented players to have stepped into the NFL since he's been in there.
Well, I mean, this year's been a little bit different. Well, look, they're probably leading the league in rushing with Williams up there and Jones and some of those guys. I mean, they got a really good run game, good defense. they're not really throwing the ball around. I mean, I think he's only got one good option throwing to this year.
Well, and I'll say this. Really, he's done what he needed to do through the regular season. Leaned on his defense, leaned on the running game, not had to make very many plays himself. But I think he's been saving himself for the playoffs. So I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers flip the switch now.
And not a bad idea. I mean, he's the last 2-3 years, Aaron Rodgers has had some bad injuries that he's took with him throughout the playoffs, and it's kind of hindered him a little bit. So this might work. New coach, your rookie coach, has done a good job. This team is playing well. I just like Seattle for some reason. Maybe sentimental value. I don't know. I just hope something crazy happens at the end.
Don't get me wrong. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins this by maybe even 2 scores. Because the way that DK Metcalf has played, especially last week, he was unstoppable, dude. Like nobody could stop him. If you press coverage him, he's going to get by you. You are not strong enough to guard.
He is
this
a
man.
Superstar in the making.
Yes,
man, he is a superstar in the making. So.
He might be similar to how. Do you remember Megatron, Calvin Johnson, for the Detroit Lions?
Yes.
He might be the second coming of Calvin Johnson.
I don't know if he's athletic or as fast as him, but he's got a lot of similarities. Moving on, just talk a little bit about UK basketball over the weekend. They got a big win over Missouri. Some stuff going in. We got Georgia tonight. We're taping this on Tuesday. They play Georgia tonight. The big question is Higgins. Will he play? How effective will he be? To me, I think UK has to have Higgins to be a good team. I don't know how effective he's going to be, but to me, I think they need him to win. And Mahan, what do you see about this game?
I agree with you.
I mean, Georgia's a well-improved team. Creech, he always does. Tom Crean does a great job there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one, and UK's. It seems like Nick Richards. We watched this game over the weekend. Nick Richards, the last 2 to 3 games, has been a different player. Like, where's this guy come from? We still struggle with scoring the ball. Like, we've got to have a clear-cut number 1 scorer. I think Tyrese Maxey is it if we have one, but he's too inconsistent. A lot of stuff. I mean, we're in conference play, so you can expect some hiccups, especially if Higgins is hurt. So I think that's the key to this one is how healthy Higgins is. And then you got anything else to add about UK basketball? You got anything?
I mean, man, I know what typically it's been the past couple of years for UK. Like, we have our struggles early in the season. We get it together going into March, and then as we get into March Madness, we're really good until we get to about the Elite Eight, Final Four, and then we just kind of brain fart. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it's young. It's what happens when you have so many freshmen.
So what's good for me to see is that Nick Richards is actually taking it upon himself to kind of assert his. I don't want to say dominance, but
he's at least being aggressive,
he's being a threat. That's what we needed him to be.
We need
a threat.
at least a presence. In the post. Couple double-doubles back-to-back, not bad. And before we get into high school girls basketball, we gave the boys a shout-out last week. UPike men and women, lost to Georgetown over the weekend. They bounced back with wins over Thomas More. But, this UPike Georgetown, they're going to play again here at Pikeville coming up. People need to get out and see this UPike team. I mean, this team can play. That loss to Georgetown, these teams might play, 10 times, and they might go 5-5 against each other. So I mean, we're not counting UPike out at all just because they got the one loss to the number 1 team. They're the number 2 team, talent everywhere. We're looking for Georgetown to come back up here to see. So now we're going to go into before we get into the high school girls basketball, we got a couple of shout outs to the Betsy Lane esports team. They're playing to go to the state title. Or they're going to be playing in the state championship. Their tournament's coming up. Esports is one of these things that's catching on all over eastern Kentucky and the state. Love to see new sports pop up and grow. Seems like kids are getting a lot out of it. So congrats to Betsy Lane.
Well, man, and the thing you like to see is these kids getting other opportunities other than the traditional sports to be able to go make some extra money to help them get into school and help. Because I mean, there wasn't any esports programs whenever I was going into college, so there was no opportunity for that. But I can always remember my little brother saying that kids his age would eventually get the opportunity to get to play games and earn college scholarships for it. And now it's it's happening. It's here. I mean, Eastern Kentucky is actually doing really well in esports.
Cool,
Like, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so congrats to Betsy Lane. Shout out there. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of our former sponsors. Back in the day, City Tire, they were our sponsor. I had to get some tires yesterday. I was desperate as City Tire Simon, so shout out to City Tire. Those guys are great. If y'all need any tires, anything like that, any work done on your vehicles, go see those guys. Also, now we'll get into a little bit of girls basketball. Last week we gave the boys a shout out. A lot of guys doing a lot of cool stuff, but the girls are doing some really cool stuff as well.
Really
And right off the top of the bat, I will say, Jerica Thacker at Jenkins, she scored 61 points and hit 10 threes the other night. And Jenkins beat Eastridge 90, I think it was 94-86. Eastridge's leading scorer was her twin sister, Krista Thacker, who scored 25. So that's a really cool story there. And then last night I went over to Belfry. They're having a two-way classic over there. Katie Ball, she just signed to play with UPAC.
Which is a great signing for them.
Great signing. I mean, I think Marshall was talking to her.
Future 4-year starter, more than likely.
More than likely. She's got all kinds of talent. I mean, over 6 feet tall. She can put the ball on the floor. She can dribble. She can do a little bit of everything. But listen to these numbers. Last night against Floyd Central. 45 points, 25 rebounds, 9 assists. She was just – there was nothing she couldn't do. We got a little interview with her. It's up on our Facebook page. Great interview, very good insight from her. This is the stuff we like highlight. We like seeing players do good. But that's not the only two girls doing good stuff in this region. We'll just run down some of these numbers. We'll start off with Belfry and Katie Ball. On the season, she's averaging 22.5 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, 57% shooting. Just can't say enough of good things about her game right now and what she's doing. And Belfry's having a good season. They'll be playing Pike Central for that 2A championship Friday. So that would be a good one for people to look out for. At Pikeville, Kristen Cole Williamson, our All-Mountain Player of the Year rating, is averaging 17.6 points per game, 10.3 rebounds per game. Pikeville's having another outstanding season, and Kristen Cole Williamson. This is not the only players. We're just looking at the top. Some of the stat leaders. Top stat leaders are in the region. Martin County, Madison Thompson, 18 points per game. 25 rebounds a game and 75% shooting from the floor.
That's insane, dude.
I don't know what's more impressive, the 25 rebounds a game or the 75% field goal. 75. That is insane.
That's super efficient. And then, I wonder how many of those rebounds are offensive.
Who knows? I mean, I saw her last year put up 30 points and grab 15 rebounds against Shelby Valley, a good team last year. And she's up to ante this year. Alyssa Ellswick, speaking of Shelby Valley, Alyssa Ellswick, 14.8 points per game, 10.3 rebounds a game. You're going to see a lot of double-doubles in these stats.
They meet each other Friday.
In LA over at the Appalachia Wireless Arena, and we'll be over there covering that. That's going to be a dandy game. At Phelps, you got Danielle Prater, 18.3 points per game, and then you got another double-double over there with Kylie Hall. I think she's a freshman or a sophomore, 11.2 points per game, 10.6 rebounds per game. Big numbers. Lawrence County, Kinsley Feltner, 19.1 points per game. At Floyd Central, Katie Moore, 20.1 points per game, 9.8 rebounds per game. Almost a double-double. Johnson Central, Sammy Sice is averaging 19.4 points per game. At Paintsville, Emily Priest, 14.2 points per game. And speaking of Jerica Thacker, she's leading the region in scoring with 26.4 points per game. She's shooting 34% from three this season. Over to Eastridge, Sarah Tackett's almost at a double-double with 13.9 points per game and 9.9 rebounds per game. Over at Pike Central, Kelsey Brenniger, she's a big part of their success, 20.5 points per game this season. At Prestonsburg, Olivia Sloan, 14 points a game. At Betsy Lane, Katie Kidd, 11.7 points per game. And then at McGoffin County, Haley Barnett, 11.3 points per game, 8.9 rebounds per game. And then, Josh, you get to see a couple really good girls players over in Mingo County.
And I think I've told you this a couple times. Girls athletics the past at least 2 to 3 years has been they've been on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like these ladies have been absolutely destroying stuff
out
here.
I mean, we've listed off a bunch of names, and we didn't say Kelsey Jo Tackett. We didn't say. I mean, their list can go on. I mean, we could probably double this list.
Well, and then I'm looking this year. I've got 2 1-loss teams. Mingo Central and Tug Valley. Both of their girls' teams have only lost 1 game this year, and are about to play each other, which is going to be really
always
good.
A tough game. Yeah.
And I know with Mingo Central, you're looking at Zaya Rhodes, who can literally score at all three levels. I think she's averaging close to 20 points this year. And then for Tug Valley, you've got Michaela May and Kaylee Baisden. Michaela May's averaging, I would bet money anywhere close to 15 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
She's probably averaging a double-double, but it's like a 11, 10-point, 15 rebound. Kaylee Baisden, she's probably averaging around 4 or 5 assists, 18 points a game, something like that. But I mean, she was involved in a late game comeback last night actually against Grace Christian, where she had suffered some kind of like bugaboo injury. I don't really know what happened with her hip.
I love the official diagnosis there.
But
Bugaboo injury.
She willed through it, man, and she like brought this team back from down, I think it was 8-9 points late in the fourth quarter, and then they end up winning by 6. So just the resiliency you see out of these teams and these girls to go out here each night, and the way that they are producing right now at the rate they're producing is absolutely insane, and it's a true joy to just watch.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap up this episode. Plenty of basketball going on right now. You got the All-A getting ready to start at the Appalachian Wireless Arena starting Thursday night this week. That'll go for probably a week and a half. So there'll be plenty of basketball over there in town if you're in Pikeville. You got the 2A Classic going on over at Belfry.
The Hatfield-McCoy
shootout coming up over at
I think that's Friday and Saturday.
That'd be at the Field House. So I mean, there's basketball almost every night now here from till March. So
I mean, man, if you're a basketball fan, I think we've even started posting some of the like games that's coming up in the paper. Look at some of those games, man, and just like go to any game.
Yeah,
go to any. It doesn't have to be your hometown team. Go to any game.
Now, Pikeville Shelby Valley over the weekend played a doubleheader, and you know sometimes people talk about the crowds not being what they used to be. That place was packed Saturday night. I mean, there wasn't many seats left. It was up to the rafters. It was loud. It was a fun atmosphere. I mean, you know, to me that's what high school basketball is about. Just go out and cheer, go out and support each other, all these kids, and you know that's what keeps high school basketball alive and makes it fun.
Right.
So. We want to thank our sponsors once again. Thanks to our special guest, Adam Mahan. Josh Blankenship, as always. I'm Randy White. Hopefully, Wes Hutchinson will be back with us next week. We'll see you next week.